sits in that brown chair by the humming fan. Same plate in the sink, same crease in his hands. The TV hums low like a far-off train, and one by one they come back again. He sees deep jungle roads and the walls aflame, a young man laughing, calling out a name. A radio crackle, a sudden flash, then the room goes still and the years slip past. Could I have moved left? Could I have said more? Could I have pulled him back from that war? Each face in the dark hits like a tide. He bows his head and asks the night, who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Not just a folded flag, death in honor, not in fame. Who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Does the country even care? Appreciates what they gave? Who remembers their names? There was Mike from Tulsa with a busted grin, ran into fire and it dragged him in. There was Jim from Kansas City, quiet and brave, left a note home tucked in his rucksack sleeve. And Tommy with a baby not yet born, he used to sing to keep them warm. Now the medals sit in a drawer unclaimed, and the night gets long when he alone remembers their names, then wipes his face and asks why. Who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Not just a folded flag, death in honor, not in fame. Who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Does the country even care? Appreciate what they gave? Who remembers their names? A wife says I still miss him, a daughter says I do too, but he looks out the window like there's more he can't undo. If he could trade one breath for a second chance, he'd take that step, he'd change that glance. But time don't bend and stone won't speak, so he holds that ache, and as his eyes leak in that quiet room, he says names slow, one by one, so they won't ever go. He still sits by the lamp, a shade pulled low, one walking cane by the TV globe. A coffee ring marks the end of the day, and boots by the chair where the old child's lay. He stares at the wall where the shadows drift back to jungles and deserts, and the night watch shift to death like silence creeps into the room. His mind and memories he has tried to bury, once again defined. He sees their faces in the smoke, the grin, the joke, the final choke, a hand reaching out through heat and flame. He says their names and says, could I again? Who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Family keeps the flame, but who remembers their names? Flag on a coffin folded tight, a faded rifle clip from a long dead fight. He bows his head, lets the sorrow rain, but who remembers their names? Mick from Ohio with that laugh and torn left sleeve said he'd ride home but he never got to leave. Jules with the dime store, St. Christopher on chain, tried to laugh, his heart pounded and he took aim. And Bennett fell in a ditch of mud, eyes gone wide in the copper blood. That ponders, if I moved, if I shouted louder, could I have pulled one back from the powder? He turns it over in his mind like worn brass, like a bullet case, but now fragile like shattered glass. The years don't heal what the fire has named, they only teach a man to carry blame. Who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Family keeps the flame, but who remembers their names? Flag on a coffin folded tight, a faded rifle clip from a long dead fight. He bows his head, lets the sorrow rain, but who remembers their names? He knows the county fair still runs, kids chase each other in the summer sun. Somewhere a casualty headline fades to gray, like it never was, about a soldier now gone away. So he touches the frame on the dusty shelf, not for glory, not for himself, just proof that the boys he left behind were more than a picture lost in time. Who remembers their names? Who remembers their names? Family keeps the flame, but who remembers their names? Flag on a coffin folded tight, a faded rifle clip from a long dead fight. He bows his head, tears fall down his cheek. Who remembers their names? As in the recesses of his mind they march again, war-torn uniforms, deep-set faces and dirty caps. They smile as the old vet, some wave, some grin, as they march by the gentle refrains of taps.